Welcome back at WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. One sort of side benefit of the coronavirus is circling back with friends of mine that I've been trying to get on the program, and I'm like, hey, it's time to go through the Rolodex and have on all the guys I haven't had on the last 3 months. Chased this guy down at the Super Bowl, and he chased me. We stayed blocks apart in Miami. He sat with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, amongst others, and probably gave a high five to Luther Campbell before it was all over with. Now we're going to be giving a high five to Calais Campbell here in Baltimore. He is the head of digital at Fox Sports, but most importantly, a Pikesville native, a Baltimorean stuck in the Hollywood Hills, running all sorts of sports things for a company that no longer does any sports because none of us do. David Katz joins us again, one of our defending champions out on the West Coast. You're 3 hours behind in the pandemic. How's it going, Katz?
Well, you're ahead of the curve, so tell us, where's it all headed? That's what we need to know out here in L.A.
Well, I did see Wicked at the Hippodrome the other night, so maybe I should go to my crystal ball and look for the flying monkeys or what. Dude, I have no idea where this is headed. A couple of years ago when the knee happened in London and you and I were together that day, and as I remember, I wasn't very nice to you in the aftermath of the game. I'm not usually in a legendary bad mood. I was in a legendary bad mood that night, so memorable that I'm apologizing to you publicly 2.5 years later. But, that was sort of the beginning of me thinking, what's going to become of the Orioles? What's going to become of the Ravens? What's going to become of sports in the modern era when people do lose interest or your team doesn't win? Because your team can't always win. Now we're at more of an existential question, right, which is how important is sports to all of us, where sports has been for you and I all we've ever done to feed our families, right?
I think this is a really interesting time in our nation where all of us who work in sports will say sports is clearly not the most important thing. It should be put on the side. Everyone should be focused on their families, their health, and their well-being, and we have to get through this crisis, which we as Americans always do and will. We will show the fortitude we need to get through it. But at the same time, what it's exposing is the important role that sports does play in the average day's worth of entertainment and taking your mind off of all the difficult things that we have to deal with job and health and the things we're confronted with. Sports does play a vital role. And when we're all kind of self-quarantined, working from home, and you turn on TV and there's really no sports to distract you from your daily thoughts, and you're going to watch this 24/7 news cycle, I think we will come out of this at the end with a really strong appreciation for the role that sports and athletes and these teams play in our lives, and maybe a way that we knew it but didn't really admit it to ourselves.
Well, how many times as an athlete said, I'm an entertainer, I entertain. Well, when they take the game away, guess what? You're just a citizen then. I mean, you're not a comedian. You're not a musician going on YouTube and showing your mad skills. And certainly for what I do for a living and trying to elevate the conversation beyond kill the quarterback, fire the coach, bench the linebacker, whatever it happens to be, I am turned on by this greater conversation that maybe, somehow, some way in this world, some of the people that voted for this orange con man will become smarter through all of this. And and to politicize it or not politicize it, it has to be politicized at this point. And speaking of politicizing, we're going to have elections moved, right? So we talk about sports being moved and will pitchers and catchers report. We have an election for the future of our city. And the election's going to get moved, right? Everything that's normal in our lives that we've seen in these other war-torn places or these places where pandemics have happened, psychologically, there are going to be a lot of 20-somethings and 30-somethings that are going to come of age here. I think in the next couple of weeks. People are going to learn more than they've learned since 9/11 for guys like you and me, I think, right? And it took my wife 6 years ago this week getting rocked with leukemia twice to sort of straighten me out and put me on a different path. But for a lot of people, this is going to be that thing for them.
I think you're right, and I got to give you a lot of credit because you made a decision. I don't know whether it was 6 months ago, 9 months ago, but I noticed, I listen to your content every day as I drive into work and drive home from work. I get it on TuneIn Radio, so I'm listening to WNST, and you made that shift, realizing that well, we're still going to talk about sports. We'll still digest all things Ravens, and we'll talk about the issues with the Orioles and the Terps. But you really made the transition early to talk about real issues, the things that are impacting everyone in their daily lives. And I've learned a lot as a a proud Baltimorean who's lived out time, and I read a lot about what's happening there. And you see me, I come back and visit a lot. My parents still live in Pikesville. But I'm learning more about the urban blight and the situation inside these cities and what it really means for the average citizen. And you've done a great job of doing it. And I think there are a lot of people, depending on your age group, who've lived through, a relative bull market since 2008 crisis. And a lot of people who came out of college and have had jobs and have only seen the stock market go, up and to the right. And they think that's the norm. They haven't lived through recessions, depressions. They haven't lived through
austerity. I like that
wars.
word. Austerity is what we're going to have, right?
Austerity and war and things. Even our wars today seem so much further removed than the wars for our parents and our grandparents' generations. So I do think that this is the real test of a lot of people who, in that quote-unquote Instagram generation, that have been kind of living in this fantasy land of, everything is great, and that's how we would like it to be. But now they're going to be faced with the stark reality of things not being exactly how they'd like it to be, and people losing their jobs and the economy taking a hit, which is the byproduct of this, not to mention the health crisis that we're all dealing with. Now, I believe we are a very resilient country. I believe we will get through it, and I think life is about experiencing the down troughs and then the cycles that come back up. And it's what makes you proud to be an American. It doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that your government is doing and all the policies put in place. And it's really patriotic to challenge authority in those areas. But I do believe that we're going to hit one of these tough cycles, and this is where we as a people have to come together the same way you and I remember 9/11. Everyone was out there feeling like they were Americans first, and they had to go deal with these issues and deal with the fear and help their fellow citizens. And hopefully the good that comes out of something terrible like this is that we all have to sit back and remember that we share this world, we share this planet, not just with our own citizens here in the U.S., but with, a global community.
Well, I would say, ignorance is bliss until it gets you killed, right? And at this point, just as an aside, as a comedic aside, the fact that you can't find toilet paper, I learned the importance of toilet paper 5 summers ago when I did 30 ballparks in 30 days, and the only toilet paper that I had was whatever was provided in Hotel X, Airport X, or Stadium X, or Restaurant X.
Anyone who's ever gone camping knows the importance of toilet paper.
When you live on the road 30 days out of a suitcase and out of hotels, you do realize that not all toilet paper is created equal. You know what I'm saying, David Katz? So, and not all toilet paper is created at this point, because these Instagram kids, to my point, is they don't know a life without toilet paper.
Right.
And there's going to be some challenges here ahead. Look, you're out in L.A., and, we were together literally the day that Kobe Bryant died, and you're down in Miami, and you're doing your thing, and running Fox Sports and doing the digital side, and you had a big week that week with some guys from the U. But, boy, the L.A. side of the Kobe Bryant story and where that is, and now just this shutdown of, even building the stadium out, that you're flying in and out of, over top LAX and all of that. But the NFL, of all the sports, and you're with a sports company that has a news division, and, we have all these other things, these sidelights. But the NFL out of season is going to benefit from this more than any of the other leagues. All the other leagues are really going to take a financial hit, a bath. Terrible things are going to happen financially throughout all of, including the NCAA, right? With spring just gone, every person you've ever known with a lacrosse stick gone, basketball taken away, the College World Series, all that gone, right? But the NFL, it feels like they might skate. If this thing is 90 days long and, August 1st, they'll roll a football out and the world will be waiting for Monday Night Football,
I think that's true. And also, if you think about what this week coming up, because, we work at Fox Sports Digital, and we're going to be covering the world of sports. And what is the world of sports left to cover at this point? It's NFL free agency. So the kind of legal tampering period begins now, and it's going to go until free agency starts and the new league year starts in the middle of this week. And there's not a lot else to talk about except the NFL, and they will dominate the conversation at a time of year when we would all be talking about the NCAA tournament. We would all be talking about what is shaping up to be a tremendous postseason in the NBA. And for everyone outside of Baltimore, they'd be talking about, what pitchers and catchers are going to make the team and what their lineups look like this year. I saw a great Onion article yesterday where the headline was something to the effect of Orioles asked Major League Baseball that in light of in an abundance of caution, maybe we shouldn't play the baseball season at all this year.
You missed your calling. You should have been an Onion writer, Katz. I mean, you would have been a really good Onion guy, I think.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe that's our next life. When the pandemic's over, you and I will open a competitor to the Onion. We'll call it the Garlic or something.
There you go. So anyway, look, I think the NFL, I don't think they wish this on anyone. Everyone in the live event business is going to be hurting and suffering, as will many industries. So
I remember last week I was pissed about Pearl Jam. I thought man, how dare Pearl Jam do this to me? The NBA, the NHL, what are we going to do now? Pearl Jam was prescient, right? You talk about being on the front end. They don't look so foolish 5 days later, do they?
No, and as a former Ivy League basketball player, I'd like to point out that the Ivy League was really the first to cancel their season tournament and shut down all their sports, and they kind of saw a lot of this coming. And I think all the leagues and teams that they were all trying to get in and trying to maintain some sense of normalcy for as long as they could, and eventually they couldn't, and they all did the right thing. So, but just one quick comment I want to make. You mentioned a little bit about the other sports. Let's think about Adam Silver. Has any commissioner in the history of sports had a year like Adam Silver has had, which started with Daryl Morey and, the Houston Rockets making a comment about China that launched an entire kind of global situation with China pulling the NBA off the air. Then really the godfather and a very close friend and mentor of mine, David Stern, his untimely passing. And then Kobe Bryant's untimely passing. And then the coronavirus suspending the NBA season. That's really just in the last, 5-6 months for Commissioner Silver. These guys are dealing with unprecedented situations, and I think doing a great job in handling these situations as good as they possibly can, given that the news and the information they're dealing with, the data, if you will, changes, minute to minute.
He is David Katz. He is Katzmandu out on Twitter. He's the head of digital at Fox Sports. He is a Pikesville native. His parents are here, hopefully in good health and staying sequestered and hanging out along with all the rest of us. He is out in L.A. doing all things football this week, I guess, on free agency for all of us. And, let's go backwards a little bit here because I'm going to be meandering into comedy and depravity and, sports and politics and Sheila Dixon last week and Ted Venetoulis next week. I mean, I'm into all of this. But the Marshall Yanda thing, let's just go back to your Raven fandom and 14-2 and the season. And you and I haven't been together. I mean, I was trying to chase you down to have you on a couple weeks ago. I don't think we've really gotten together since the tragic ending of the Tennessee Titans. Boy, we're having a whole different kind of conversation here. But the Marshall Yanda thing last week, that was as good of a retirement press conference. I told Luke I'm happy I went. I don't want to say I almost didn't go, but it kind of happened in a busy day and a busy time. Lord knows we have a pandemic breaking out as well. But I went, and it was very, very telling to see how respected Marshall Yanda is by who showed up and how they showed up and how they showed out. I've never seen that many people. Marshall touched a lot of people, man.
He really did, and I got to tell you, it's so nice. I think in Baltimore we have a first-class organization, maybe the best in the entire industry in the NFL, and we have that juxtaposed against not the best organization, let's just say it, in some of these other leagues that we will.
Well, all you have to do is go
remain
across the
nameless.
parking lot as well. So yes, I mean
Exactly.
yes.
But I think we have so much respect from around the league for the kind of leadership that Steve Bisciotti and Dick Cass have provided and the kind of stability they have. And to throw an event like that for a beloved Raven who, he's probably in my opinion, the fifth most important Raven we've ever had on that list. And I think that list might change over time depending on how some of the young guys perform over the next decade. But this guy had an absolutely stellar career. I think he represented all the values that you would want in a teammate and in a player for your city, and the way he represented it and his lunch pail mentality. So it's not a surprise to me that kind of people showed up there. And I just want to give a shout out because I work in digital media and social media. The work that the Baltimore Ravens social team and digital team is doing these days is the best in their business. And the work that they have done, if you saw the Marshall Yanda video that they put together, the tribute video, it was outstanding. The production values and the way it kind of brought home a lot of the thoughts we have about him and the work he did and the leadership he provided. It was first class all around.
It got dusty in there. I mean, that started DaCosta, and then I went downhill watching DaCosta. The more he got sniffly, the worse it got for everybody, I think.
Well, no one wants to be sniffly this time of the year. So let's just leave it at that.
Well, it was it was for a guy that never took the spotlight, that never wanted the spotlight, and I know that from the inside, having been around it and been around him, that we dragged him out in 2016 to hang out for an hour and a half with us out at Greenmount Station, and I unearthed that. Just hearing him talk about how much he hated lazy, you know what I mean? That there's such a quality for him, and the Ring of Honor is ahead, and I really do hope he makes it to the Hall of Fame. I mean, there's going to be a real conversation about Steve Smith and Terrell Suggs and Marshall Yanda, and it's all going to be happening around the same time every year at those Super Bowls out in L.A., right? 4, 5, 6 years from now.
2 years from now, you're coming to L.A.
Well, I was set to come to L.A. for the Rolling Stones on May the 8th, May the 9th. So if the coronavirus can't kill Mick and Keith, you know what I mean? They're going to. So I do have a flight out for the first night of the tour in San Diego at Qualcomm, and I might even know a guy with an extra ticket, Katz. So I'm just letting you know that there's possibilities for one night in the Manhattan Beach condo. The price can be had. So hey, man, take care of yourself. Stay safe out there. Traffic down a little bit in LA. I mean, are you seeing less activity in general? I mean, for a place that's so bombastically over the top traffic laden, right?
Yeah, last week leaving work, I was getting door to door in less than half the time that I normally would.
Wow.
So I think people had kind of already started to move to this work from home mentality. That said, over the weekend, I have seen a fair amount of traffic out there. So people are driving around, probably driving to their grocery stores from the likes of what I saw this week. But yeah, I think it's going to be a much quieter week. And I think this is the universe. I don't know if you're into the metaphysical side of things, but this is the universe telling everyone to calm down, relax, reset yourself, take it in stride, be vigilant, be smart, and let's all work together. And I hope that's what the future is, and we get through this as quickly as humanly possible, and we save as many lives as possible, and we can get on to the frivolous nature of what you and I do for a living, which is analyzing the upcoming Raven season and talk about what Mark Turgeon needs to do better next season.
My dude, I miss you. We'll, when we can resume getting on airplanes. I mean, I'm guessing at this point the next time I'll be on an airplane, hopefully, would be coming out to California to soak up the sun, as Sheryl Crow once sang. And take care of yourself. I'm going to stay in touch with you. We'll be following you out at Fox Sports Digital, and I'll follow you at Katzman And I appreciate you listening to NST from out on the West Coast. And I'm sorry it took us a couple weeks to catch up. Man, we would have had a lot more fun talking a couple weeks ago, right?
It's always enjoyable talking with you. There's always serious things to talk about. But, yeah, it would have been a little more fun. We would have been a little more carefree.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm going to try to keep it light around here as best I can. We can't be serious all day. You know what I mean? I am. I am like a football player, Katz. I am an entertainer. See you later, man.
Good one.
There you go,
Take
man.
care.
Just I think of Billy Joel. I am the entertainer, and I know just what I am. Another serenader, another long-haired band. Nasty at WNST.net, Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat. During the pandemic, after the pandemic, when sports resumes, we will resume talking about sports. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to have intelligent conversations with people I like about things I want to talk about and things that are important to you, including Baltimore Positive, which is percolating this week as well. Little bit of a hiatus, but we're going to do it virtually here. I'm not going anywhere. Find me. Subscribe to our morning newspaper, all brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. When life resumes, Planet Fitness will be there for you. $5 down, $10 a month. You're going to need it to get back in shape. Do what my wife does. Do some push-ups off the side of the couch. It's like Rocky in there, getting it going. But my thanks to Planet Fitness. Also the JWB 5K and Victor Brick and Lynn Brick, dear friends of mine, doing a great thing to honor John Brick. That has been moved to the fall. Everything's getting moved, folks. We know this. Stay with us. We're going to need you. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. We're all in it together. We never stop talking Baltimore stuff.